Hey everyone, welcome back to Self Love and Sweat the podcast. Today we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions and my take on them, and if I set them and if I coach my clients to have New Year's resolutions. I feel like for two reasons I want to talk about this topic. Number one is because I feel like I've been getting this question a lot recently. Like 3 people in the last week have asked me, hey Lunden, do you have any New Year's resolutions? Do you set any New Year's resolutions? And then timing wise, it's the end of January, which is a time where a lot of people give up on their New Year's resolutions, or I would argue even don't remember what they even set as their New Year's resolution. So I feel like because I've been getting this question a lot, and also the time of year, I wanted to visit this topic. Not at a time you would normally hear about it, right? We're like at the end of the first month of the year. But, I think that it still has this New Year magic. And even though, spoiler alert, I'm not super into New Year's resolutions, I still love the magic of a new year. So I think it's great to reflect on the previous year and then get excited and set goals and just really, focus on how you want to show up and what you want to achieve in the coming year. I think it's great. I love to do that too. I just feel like New Year's resolutions are really limiting. So it's kind of like, okay, pick one thing and decide right at the beginning of the year. And I just don't feel like people even really sit down and like brainstorm and really think about that of like, what resolution do I want to set for the whole year, right? So I think it's really limiting because we just like pick something and it's one thing. And I also think it's kind of, I don't really, like to live this way, and I don't like to coach this way. Like, I don't want to have one, and I know that we're constantly setting goals in different areas, and just a New Year's resolution is not our only goal of the year, but I don't want a New Year's resolution to really be the barometer for success for that year, kind of based on action or inaction, depending on what your New Year's resolution is. And so for that reason, for it being very limiting and just like people not taking the time to really think about what they want their New Year's resolution to be. And then also once you choose something, having that be your, did I succeed or did I not? Did I make it or did I not? Having that be what sets you up kind of for the whole year. For me, it just doesn't do it. It doesn't cut it. And that's not how I like to coach. And what I've seen, it's not what I've seen actually work, right? Most people, the majority of people who set New Year's resolutions, like don't even do it. The gyms are empty after a while. Like people just, they get super pumped up and then they don't have the tools and strategies, which is why I love the one I'm going to share with you today, to keep on keeping on. Ones that last, ones that show up, throughout all the seasons, that will last the entire year, and so that's why I love doing this instead of setting New Year's resolutions. So what is this? So my answer to this question is no, I don't set New Year's resolutions. What I do instead is I set words of the year. Words that, 1 or 2 words that really, describe how I want to show up that year, that really are going to be like quick. You think about that word and you just know what that means for you and how you want to show up in the world. Like that's what I'm looking for, is those quick words that can really just bring to life for us in an instant, a bunch of different times throughout the year, right? It's a whole freaking year, but like that really can give us that switch. Every time we think about that word, I want to show up as that word, right? So that's what I like to do. That's what I like to coach on, our words of the year. So I'm going to tell you what your words of like some pointers about your words of the year. And then I'm going to tell you what mine was last year. And I actually have 2 this year for this year, and how they kind of fit in to what I share with you. Okay. So your word of the year, it should be something that's really out of your comfort zone, that when you think about being that, embodying that particular word, it's not something that feels like second nature to you. And I'll give you some examples. And then also it should really describe how you want to show up in a lot of areas of your life, right? So instead of just picking one New Year's resolution, you actually get to choose a word or a couple of words that melt into, I always say melt into, but that, melt into and transcend into a lot of different areas of our lives. It's not just one New Year's resolution that might be focused on one key spot in our life, like health and fitness, weight loss, all that type of like one key area. It could actually be one simple, quick, powerful word word that can help and melt into and help you in many areas of your life. Okay, so out of your comfort zone a little bit and really describe how you want to show up. Like really, that word should really bring a lot of feelings of congruence with like, yes, that's exactly how I want to show up. Like, that's what it feels like for me to really be in my space and in my area of genius and doing my thing, like that word. Okay, so the words I've chosen before. So where are we at now? 2022. In 2021, my word of the year was connection. And that word was really powerful to me because it was really out of my comfort zone. A lot of people don't really believe this when I tell them, but I'm very much an introvert. When it comes time to being in seasons of stress or transition or whatever, it's much more my nature to be a recluse and kind of step back a little bit. And so for me, the word connection, I knew that after moving back from Austria, going through a breakup, restarting my business, figuring out where I was going to live, all this different kind of stuff, I knew that connection was something I was going to need to thrive and really continue to show up. And I knew it was something that wasn't in my nature to do, just like by habit. I'd rather just kind of like chill by myself and do my thing, So that word was really a reminder for me, like, hey, keep showing up. Don't forget to stay connected with others. Don't forget to meet new people and expand your network and expand your horizons and just stay, stay focused on making those connections. That's really how I wanted to show up in 2021. It was really important for me. When you are a coach, and maybe you're listening to this, a coach or a leader or whatever, it's like, you only can grow and only can lead to the extent that you grow and lead yourself. And so for me, it was really important to continue to show up, continue to do the work for myself, personally, professionally, all the things, and then continue to show up and be connected, because I know the power of connection. It's just not my first thing I'm running to all the time. So that was my word of 2021. This year, I have 2 words. I couldn't decide on a single word, so I chose 2. And I also chose to have those words, I also chose that like those words should exist together in the feeling, which I'll describe as often as possible. So my 2 words are relax and learn. So that's what I mean. I want to be like relaxing and learning as like the key focus of my year. That doesn't mean I'm not working and I'm not showing up and I'm not doing all the things, but relax and learn. So for me, relax is not something that is my second nature. Relaxing is like, I'll relax in the evenings. I'm really good about getting good sleep and not staying up too late and having all the screens in front of me and things like that. But overall, I wouldn't describe myself innately relaxed. That's something I really have had to work towards and work on showing up that way. And so I just feel like for the longest time, I lived in Austria and my lifestyle, I traveled a lot. It was go, go, go all the time. I also have unraveled a mindset that doing more and working more means you're worth more and you can, you're more enough if you do more. And I really have found meaning in relaxing and chilling and just loving on myself a bit more. And so even though I don't feel like, being relaxed is fully who I am yet or whatever, I love that word and that idea of thinking every day, Lunden, are you showing up relaxed? And are you learning something? When in doubt and things are getting frustrating and all the things, like relax and what can you learn here? Learning from the situation, but also proactively learning. Like I love listening to podcasts and reading books and just learning from a lot of different sources. And so just reminding myself that like chill out, relax. And then I really feel like learning is like a workout for your brain, So whenever you feel any like lack of clarity, lack of focus, like the default is always like learn something, teach yourself something, read a few pages, watch a YouTube video, listen to a podcast, like do something, learn something, expand your knowledge. I feel like that's the equivalent for the brain and the mind of like, a HIIT workout or really, busting your ass in a sweaty workout and just kind of having that breakthrough there. I feel like learning helps with getting rid of a lot of stagnance more than we probably even realize. And so those are the 2 words that describe how I want to show up this year. And I was actually just having a really good conversation with a friend of mine, and then she's an NLP practitioner. She's who I get my certification from. So I'm a life coach, an NLP certified practitioner, and a few other certifications I have through her. And she's so amazing, and I freaking love her. And we're getting ready to go into recertification again in February, this coming up month, for 2 weekends in a row, in-person training, just like 10, 12 hours a day of just showing up, learning these techniques, working together, all of that. And so today, her and I had a conversation preparing for that coaching session that I'll be participating in. And so we were talking, we had a 30-minute chat, and she asks a lot of really great questions, as do all NLP practitioners. And she just always helps expand. And she just kind of asked, where do you kind of see yourself, and where are you, in the next years, and just kind of like, where do you want to be? What are your goals? How does that look like, for you? And so for me, it was really, I told her this too. I was like, I've kind of struggled with that question, in the sense that, like, I don't know exactly, like, what the house is going to look like, or the partner, or the car, or the whole, exactly how much money, or how like, for me, when I think about future, or even now and just moving forward, I really resonate a lot more with, and I've found that helps me just, so much more on the feeling. So how do I want to feel? I want to feel like I'm relaxed and learning, right? Chilled out, and like expanding, I'm expanding my mind. And for me, it's much more of knowing if something is right for me, or if that's the next step, based on knowing those feelings and knowing what I want to feel in my life, what those feelings of happiness and satisfaction and connectedness and living, like what that really feels like for me. And then matching that feeling with the feeling I get when I'm presented with said next thing, right? So for me, it's really much more familiarity with the feeling I want to feel in the next 5, 10 years or whatever. That really fires me up, and that really keeps me kind of focused. Or let's say it's kind of like when you go bowling and you have the blockers up, the gutter blockers, so that your ball doesn't go in there. It's kind of like those words keep me like in bounds, if that makes sense. And so today, actually, after my meditation this morning, I wrote down some more words that just describe how I want to feel. And so I don't feel like you should limit yourself to, one New Year's resolution. I also don't think you should limit yourself to just one word that describes how you want to feel, although I think it's super helpful. And I think that just choosing one is more than enough. And it's really great to have that focus and clarity and be like, am I showing up, relaxed and learning? Am I showing up with connection at my forefront? I think it's also great to journal about, like, what are some other words that describe how I want to show up in this world? What's really that feeling I want to feel regularly? And how can I spend time, writing down those words and feeling those words? So that way, when I, come across them again, it's like, oh, it's familiar. It's like, yes, that feels right. That sits right with me. I know, that's, congruent with the feelings I want to feel this year. And that's really what I work towards, is the feeling. Okay, so some words I wrote down. I do meditation a lot with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and often what he asks in his meditation is, I'm going to do my impression of his voice, but he's like, who do you want to be when you open your eyes? Like, his voice is really good. The music is great. And when he coaches, he doesn't really talk or sound like that, but in his meditations, his voice is great. And so he's like, who do you want to be when you open your eyes? And I'm thinking, and I wrote that down to myself on my notebook, who do you want to be when you open your eyes? And so first I wrote relaxed and learning, because those are my words of the year. So of course I'm going to put that at the front. That's going to be what I think about, what I say regularly. It's going to be at the top of my list, my main focus. But it's okay to have some sub bullet points and some sessions where you're really like asking yourself, hey, self, how you want to feel? What are some words that describe that? Okay, so I had relaxed and learning, clean and confident was the words, another couple words, and that really has to do with my space. And even like myself too. It's just like keeping things tidy, keeping things organized, laundry, personal care, just like all of those things help me feel very much relaxed. And so clean and confident, those are some words. Intentional and consistent. I also want to feel very intentional and consistent, not like I'm a hamster on a hamster wheel or running around all over the place trying to do all the things. Just very much intentional with what I'm going to do, but then consistent with those intentional behaviors. Coherent heart and mind. just that feeling of knowing and of being very open in my heart space and in my mind to learning and loving and receiving knowledge and receiving love from others. And then loving and kind. I just think those are two words, loving and kind, that we're called as humans for all of us to be. I really think those are two words that should be on all our lists of to-dos for the day, right? To be loving and to be kind. And so don't do New Year's resolutions. Not that you shouldn't. I mean, if it works for you, great. I don't do New Year's resolutions. That's not my jam. It's much more doing the word of the year and then getting really into the feeling of what that feels like. What does it feel like to be relaxed and learning? And I asked myself this, I'm like, relaxed and learning means like being content and okay with like being in bed and spending a day in bed and watching, YouTube videos, listening to audiobooks, just learning and expanding while being in a comfortable and relaxed space. I work my physical body a lot. And I also just know and have realized I require a lot of rest and a lot of recovery and a lot of like downtime on my own. And so that's really what that looks like for me. But then also like being relaxed and asking myself, what can I learn? That's also another way I've brought those two words together, where it's like, okay, take a chill pill, like assess the situation, look around a little bit, and like, what can you learn about this situation, about how you showed up, about, just what happened. There were some situations where a few things I was excited about last year, I could say fell apart or just didn't work out. And it was really a moment where I was proud of myself too, where I really was like, okay, it's not going to happen. Like, this is just not going to happen because these moving parts are necessary. And now we don't have this and it's not working. What can I learn about myself? How can I do better next time? What can I learn about people that I start to work with and do things with? Which questions should I ask, or things I should get really clear and clarify on, beforehand, just like all this ownership, right? As much as I could do there. So that was another way of being like relaxed about the situation and just like shoulders down and like, but then how can I learn? How can I grow from that situation? So that's an example too of like what that looks like exactly in my life. And so, New Year's resolutions are cool if they work for you, right? If it works for you, it works for you. I'm always a fan of that statement because it's true. Like if that's your jam and that works for you and you feel healthy and you feel vibrant and you're sleeping well and like you're reaching your goals and you're living a life that just feels freaking great for you, like don't stop doing what you're doing. Like if that works, great. But I would bet that New Year's resolutions are not working for the majority of us, and we're not taking enough time to really think like, okay, what is this New Year's resolution? What am I resolving to do? What do I say I want to do? And then also I coach too, and I recommend leaning more into words. Words are so powerful, how we talk to ourselves, how we say we want to show up. I love talking about words. I've done episodes on words on this podcast before. Change your words, change your world. The new clean eating, which is like cleaning up your self-talk. I've done podcast episodes on that too. I'll link those in the show notes. But it's just like words are so important and so powerful that I feel like if every day we could think of that particular word about how we're going to show up, it doesn't really matter what's up, what we're up against. We have, kind of that word as our filter, our sieve, our like, saying, I'm going to, be this and I'm going to show up this way. It's kind of like, yeah, I just feel like it's a great tool. A super, super great tool to keep you in line, a really great and helpful barrier for the gutters, like I talked about in that bowling alley analogy. And it's a great thing to journal about and think about regularly. How am I showing up as this word? What were some key things that happened today or this week that, I could have really leaned in and embodied this word even more? How did I do a freaking great job at showing up, learning and relaxing, being connected? Yeah, choose the word that makes you feel freaking fired up inside. Like the word that ignites your like inner Rocky song, just like, yes, switch on. Like that's who I want to be. That's how I want to show up. That gives you that extra umph and that extra fire. So let me know what your words of the year are, word or words of the year. I would love to hear all about them and also what they uniquely mean to you. Because like I said, relax and learn or connection or any word can mean anything to anyone. It's up to us to kind of sit in it and know what that feels like and know what it means for us. So I want to hear about it. You can send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at lifelikelunden on Instagram. Or if you're on my email list, you can just hit reply to any of the newsletters that I send, any of the emails that I send, and it will automatically go back to my personal email address. So even if you purchase something and you got a welcome email or whatever, things that might automatically be sent to you, or some freebies, no matter what email it is, you can just hit reply to it and it comes back to me. So I would love to hear your word of the year. If you're not already on my email list and you want to be, just go to lifelikelunden.com/calendar, pick up my free workout and mindset calendar, and you'll be on my email list for my monthly, or I do a monthly newsletter, and then I do a Mind, Body, Love tips newsletter every single Monday, giving you tips in my 3 key pillars of coaching: mind, body, and love, and little tools and nuggets to help you each week. Thank you guys for being here on the podcast. I always love talking to you. I would appreciate any feedback about these podcast episodes or anything you want to see more of. Same spot. Hit me on Instagram or reply to one of my emails. I can't wait to hear from you and connect with you. Have a beautiful day, friends.